Right. Hi, everyone. I'm hoping we've got some teachers tuning in soon. I'm just jumping on here on behalf of the HPE Vic team. First of all, I want to say hello to all of you. For those of you who have reached out and contacted us, asked questions, shared your thoughts, we're so grateful that you've reached out to us for assistance. We're really keen to talk to you and help you with all your queries and questions, and hopefully this afternoon session gives you a little bit of an overview of the types of things we're doing in the background, but also how you can help us help the HPE and our DREAD community. We are at the moment getting a lot of calls and emails and queries on Facebook and all sorts of different methods from teachers who are really keen to get help around planning remote lessons. Hi, Cherie, thanks for jumping on. I will get to your question a little bit later. I did see that pop up earlier. We really want to be able to provide all of you teachers with assistance in planning remote lessons. We don't know if this is going to become a requirement that all teachers have to plan and deliver remotely, but certainly in the interim, there's teachers who have to do this. So we'll see if we can help out wherever we can. Obviously, you're going to have some students at the moment who are deciding to work from home. So if there's options for you to plan some things up your sleeve to help those students and keep them active, it's really important you do that. So hopefully we can share some of them with you. I guess our other thing is that we wanted to tell you that you are doing a fantastic job, and it's so great to see the questions that are coming in, and the types of things you're looking for are really great ideas and things that we want to support you all in. But it is, we do have a small team, so we're doing our best to get as many things as we can done behind the scenes for you, and it just might take us another couple of days to get a few things back to you, but we will be able to respond to all your queries and questions. So hopefully you can at least take some tips from this in the meantime, and then the plans we've got in future, we'll be able to assist you with that anyway. At the moment, if you do have any questions, please make sure that you reach out to us and send us an email on our through our ACHPA email. So achpa@vic.edu.au. Hopefully we'll get that email popped up on the chat feed as well if you have any specific questions that we can't answer today. And we will be able to share them to you. Also, make sure that you're following our social media pages. So obviously our Facebook, you guys are here, which is great, but we've got Twitter as well, and making sure that you're getting our emails too, so we can send you any direct information as we get things done. At the moment, we have been working really hard on getting a tip of the week released for tomorrow. And this is to give you a little bit of a scope on how to plan some of the online lessons, and also give you some activity ideas and actually share some activities that we've prepared and had teachers in our community share with us. And so we'll get that out to you hopefully tomorrow morning. So make sure that you are signed up for tips of the week, so that you can get that. Otherwise, we'll have that posted on our socials page as well, our Facebook and Twitter. So that's probably your first point to look for, is make sure that you check that out. We'll talk through some of the tips now as well. We are also going to get some lesson activity ideas from teachers in our networks. We're going to get a Google Drive together and start sharing some content around, but just do bear with us while we're getting a couple of those ideas and getting the Google Drive all ready and up and running to share with you. As soon as that's up, we'll be able to share that so that you've got some more activity ideas to run with. Note that for our VCE teachers, we're getting a flash sale up and running with some of our VCE SACs and trial exams from 2018. They're still aligned to the curriculum, to the study design, the current study design, and they are certainly some ideas for you to work with your VCE students if you're needing extra activities to work from home. They will be going down to $40 each, so that's a big bargain if you haven't already got access to the 2018 tasks. So hopefully that can help you in creating some modified activities for your classes for discussion as well. We're still meant to be running our webinars next week for VCE, HHD, PE and OES. with the new format, there are obviously things that you can access from home. So make sure that you're registering for those through our website. And obviously, we've got a lot of other things that we're trying to do to support you, as well as responding to all your queries. So hopefully we'll be able to share out more information as we confirm everything. So I think just a couple of quick things around planning online and remote sessions. At the moment, I mean, we still don't actually know what's going to be the case long term. A lot of you have been asked to plan for sessions for the moment and see how we go. And so it makes planning really hard long term. Do I plan one lesson? Do I plan 5? Do I plan a whole term's worth? What do I do? And your schools obviously will give you that insight as they become aware of it. But at least for the moment, if you can plan some sessions that get you through the next couple of weeks, if required, we'll see if we can make sure that we're providing ideas that fit that. And then if we know that there's longer term requirements, we can go from there. In terms of planning remote sessions, I know that it is different for you, for a lot of you teachers out there that haven't had to do this before. We are getting quite familiar in the office now, having to work remotely to be able to structure things a little bit differently, and having some experience from university tutoring where we're setting up things online, that hopefully we can put this in a format that helps you guys out as well. Technically, your online or remote sessions are still going to have a similar structure. They still should have an introduction, some activities that your students can focus on, and obviously some sort of reflection or closure that will tie into your learning intention. So what is it that you're getting the students to achieve by completing that lesson? Usually, students will respond really well to that structure, and giving them something that they just do in that time frame that they're meant to have PE and not actually respond back to you or provide some sort of summary or recap might also mean they find it a little bit tricky to complete the task or know where they're going. So getting a clear learning intention set at the start, I think, is a really important step. Make sure that your students know in this session, you know, we're working towards understanding more about ways that you can be physically active at home, or it might be that we're working on our fundamental motor skills and we're trying to practice them before we're coming back to school. You might be wanting to try and teach parents and siblings about the skills that you're learning at home, but setting a clear intention for your students is really important. There are lots of different ways that the activities can run, even though the students are remote and potentially working individually. They might be working with other family members, but you can't guarantee that. So providing individual activities is important. Although a lot of the things we do in PE tend to be in groups, there's certainly things that we can do in the short term in terms of practicing skills and analysing video content, creating different tasks and presentations and things at home. You know, there's a huge range of things that students can do on their own. So, and I know that a lot of the ideas that we're getting together in the Google Drive and in the tip of the week certainly work towards students working individually. A couple of things in terms of providing closure, a lesson closure and reflection opportunities. There's lots of things, lots of options for students, and it really depends on the platforms that you're going to be using to present your content. So some of you will already have online platforms that your schools are directing you to work with, and you can certainly add forums and things in there that they can provide their feedback on. But, you know, setting a simple journal task, if you have access, or students have access obviously to the internet for these, that you can set up Padlet or use forums on your platforms for them to simply provide, you know, responses to 3 questions around how they felt participating in those activities, what their learnings were, where they think they could improve. Those simple things can really help make students accountable. Susie, thank you for your comment there. Definitely making students more accountable is a really great thing, by giving them something to report back on to you. Just like people trying to do at home workouts at the moment, sharing what they're doing makes them more accountable, and making sure that they are doing it and sharing their learnings will help also consolidate their understanding. So if you can add those little things in, it'd be really great. Also make sure that you have had a chat to your leadership about the online platforms that you're going to use. Hopefully your your school teams have been providing that information to you. But if you need to learn more about what it is that your platforms are capable of, make sure that you find that out, because that may certainly give you some ideas on how you can present information and activities, as well as the different activity options that they might be able to submit back to you. In terms of activity structures as well, with individual things, we've tried to create a couple and also get some ideas from other teachers, but share some task cards or some little tabloid station type activities for our junior kids. There's a lot of YouTube ideas in terms of pre-made fitness workouts or dance routines, things that you can present to your students, get them to replicate it or copy it if you can't necessarily demonstrate it to your students, and get them to reflect back to you. Getting some flipped learning ideas as well, so where you get the students the content and then what it is that they're trying to reflect back to you in, say, a video call with the class, is then discussing how you're applying those learnings in different situations, or maybe working through some practice questions is a really great idea. I know a lot of other subject areas use flipped learning, and although it may not necessarily be practical, it is certainly something that you can do with your students to share the content that the basics of what you are working on, and get the students to then share the application. Setting personal challenges for students, whether you set the task or you give the students some choice. It might be around a fundamental motor skill or a specialised sports skill, or a fitness-based activity. Those sorts of things can work really well. With your older students, things like video analysis, if you're looking at movement concepts, so moving into space, watching, obviously the AFL's on tonight, doing a bit of a video analysis of who's moving into space in different activities, and could they successfully get the ball, is a really good thing just to quickly look at, with lots of different sports ideas around there. Again, there's so many ideas and so many things that we could share to you, and we could go on for quite a while. But I think at the moment, try and think of your lessons with your normal format. So your introduction, your activities, and your way for students to be able to reflect back to you is really important. So it's not that they're just working on their own for the whole session without any accountability. Think about activities that are individual, and see if there are obviously ties that you can make to the content that you were meant to be focusing on at the moment at school. It may not be possible, you may not need to think a little bit outside the box, but if you can make that tie, or at least to something else that might be done later in the year, and switch it around, just be willing to be flexible at the moment. Great point there, Frank. You've just talked about Google Classrooms and Seesaw about instructing and receiving feedback. That's another really common tool as well. So that certainly has a great capability for you to be able to pose questions. Students can interact with each other, from what I remember about Seesaw, and so they can actually see what each student has done and how they're working on the different learning tasks. They might be able to ask questions of each other. So again, they're providing that the option for accountability and reflection in that sense. But yeah, there's lots of great ideas that you can use in that space. A couple of other questions that have come through. In terms of where to get activities, we are trying to share a few more things of different activity ideas, as I said, through the Google Drive, and also our tip of the week coming out tomorrow. For those of you who tuned in late, we've got a tip of the week special edition, so keep an eye on your inboxes in the morning. There's lots of activity ideas out there. I think from our perspective, the most important thing is to make sure that if you know what your learning intention is and what you want your students to get out of it, you can then start to pick the activities that, the numerous activities you can Google out there to link back to what you want the students to achieve. We'll make sure we keep sharing some ideas too. And if there are specific things that you are looking for that you're having trouble finding, please do let us know. So add it in the comments, or as I said, send us an email. We'll be able to get back to you and let you know of some ideas around those things. One really interesting question, and I think a lot of you might have had this request as well, but about social distancing in PE. Again, I don't have all the answers on this. Not many people do. And it's been quite interesting hearing the different stories from teachers we've spoken to who are being asked to practice social distancing in PE, yet they'll go back to the classroom and obviously they're sitting side by side as students. So it's a really tricky one. obviously making sure your kids are coming in, washing their hands when they come in and when they leave. Good hygiene practices are really important in PE. But there's lots of opportunities, as you said, in working individually at home. Students can work in different ways in the classroom. So do they have individual tasks to complete? Are they working in smaller groups? Do they have some distance restrictions? It might be that you're actually setting challenges and they're required to pass further distances. Obviously, you've got a space requirement. If you're playing invasion activities, you might have a distance rule where students, are zoned off so that they are separated, or that instead of a 3 feet defense rule like you would with netball, you might have 2 meters just for this, because we're just going to try and make it a little bit different in this case, and make it really obvious. But there's lots of different ways that your students can operate in PE. They just don't need to be physically right next to each other. If we have any ideas on that, or you've been given any advice, we'd love to hear from you and get those shared too. Lots of you have tuned in at the moment, which is really great. And I know that this is a little bit tricky to give you lots of specific ideas and questions, and responses, to the things that you need. I think the most important thing you can do, if you have anything specific that you're needing assistance with, while I have some time, feel free to put them into the comments at the moment, and I'll see if I can get something back to you quickly. Otherwise, definitely send us an email, atchba@vic.edu.au. We'll make sure that we get back to you as soon as we can. But as I said, we've got tip of the week coming tomorrow that has at least a starter for F to 10 activities. If you are teaching VCE, make sure that you have a look out for our sample sacks and trial exams from 2018 going on sale, so you can get some extra activities there. If you do have tasks that you have purchased from last year or this year that you aren't using with your students, you may want to modify and take some activities out of them, but remember, not necessarily use the whole thing as is, just to prevent any authentication issues with your students or those from other schools. But there is a huge bank of activities you could use as well. We are going to, if we get any other information out, we'll send it to you either as an EDM or in our socials posts. So make sure that you have a look at that, have a look at the content as we share it. Michelle Barry, thank you. We did talk about net wall games being fantastic for social distancing. So thanks for reminding me. Twitter, plenty of amazing people have shared whole Google Drives and activities. Yes, Cherie, that's true. There have been a lot out there. So there is a lot there. Just obviously take the things that you need that relate to what it is you want your students to get out of those activities, and we'll continue to share a bit more to you as well. Just checking that if there are any more questions I may have missed. If you do have any specific questions, feel free to put them up now. Otherwise, as I said, do email, make sure that you subscribe to our tip of the week, and obviously make sure that we've got your questions and feedback. Just in summary, because we've probably gone through the basics and the things that we really need to cover in this, you are doing a fantastic job. We really want to support you in whatever way it is we can. So if you have any queries, any questions, anything that is posing some difficulty to you, we want to be able to work with you and help you out during this time, because we don't know what's going to happen and how long this may last for. So any ideas that you're also willing to share, please pass them on, because this is a time where our community needs to stick together and share and help each other out. So anybody who has anything to share, please make sure that you do so as well. We have another question that's come in, a few questions here. Strategies for teaching Prep to 2 remotely, hard to connect them when they can't navigate devices. So one thing that we've been able to do in our tip of the week, we've got a couple of task cards and activities for students in those lower primary years, where they're very simple I can statement tasks or station activities. So if it's something that the students can read, hopefully it's simple enough for them to be able to work on, but also something that the parents will easily be able to understand and guide them with. There's some family activity, reflection type activities in there as well. So hopefully that's a start for you in Prep to 2, particularly when you're not sure that they can be on devices and navigate through that. So that's a really good question, Tim. I hope that helps. Emma, I'm just reading through your question. Coming from a school with digital delivery in the past few days is important. We still value movement. The biggest complaint from students is too much screen time on our digital delivery days. Really fantastic point. And I think that's one thing that you can share to your students. We might want to try and push more activity-based lessons, even though it's easier to go down the theory track, particularly with the older students. Students are not getting that same structure with the recess and lunch where they'd normally be active at home. So giving them a physical activity type task is probably actually something they'd be really interested in doing. So we are trying to go with that spin of a more active based rather than theory lessons in what we're sharing. So hopefully that helps. But do also remember, if you are speaking to your students about doing or about bringing in active brain breaks, so between their sessions they are actually getting up from their desk, they're having a quick move around, that will obviously help them with refocusing and getting back on task, and making sure that they're taking their time still to play and move throughout the day. Luke, we're doing online learning. Any ideas particularly for prep to 6 to do at home? As I did just mention, we are sharing a lot of activity ideas tomorrow through the tip of the week and the Google Drive that'll be targeted particularly towards prep to 6, because we do know from the questions that are coming in that our prep to 6 teachers are the ones who are looking for the most hands-on activities. So hopefully that will help you out there. Target activities as well, really great idea, particularly if you've got social distancing, but also get really creative at home with students being able to create their own target activities with various things they can find, empty bottles, they might have different balls or soft toys, things like that they can actually use for throwing objects and for targets that they can get really creative with. So that's something that you might want to look at. Matt has just told us about the mascot challenge at Cricket Vic, so that's something I assume you'll be able to search up on their website as something you could look at. All right, I don't think I've got any other questions that have popped up. I think I've answered all the questions that have appeared on there. In terms of getting support, if there's anything that we've missed or you've got any additional or more in-depth queries, as I said, please make sure you send us an email. We'll be really keen to hear from you and have a chat with you. For those of you who have sent any queries through to our emails and we haven't got back to you, we will get back to you fairly soon. We're just getting through as many of the queries as we possibly can within our team. So hopefully we can help you out in whatever way we can. P&P cards. Sorry, me trying to read live Facebook comments at the same time as trying to talk to you sometimes gets a little bit difficult, particularly at 4:30 in the afternoon. P&P cards for Prep to 2 students. A lot of you, if you have the P&P resources, they could be a really easy one to copy. Obviously, think of the things that don't require too much equipment because the parents are likely, obviously, not to have those sorts of things to do at home. Narelle, I've heard you were going to give us tips for things for students to do. Is there any chance of a matrix of activities that could be done for each year level? Good question. We'll have to get back to you. I'll have to obviously bring that back to our PL team and see what the activities are that we've got already. We know that we are trying to break them down into year levels, or at least primary and secondary. There's quite a few of the activities that we're sharing out are designed more towards lower or upper primary, or sort of that mix of secondary. So we're trying to be a bit more targeted. At least what we're getting to you at the moment is, some activities that you can do for the next week or two. And then hopefully in the next day or a couple of days, we can work out a plan if we need some more of those longer term resources and plans made available to you, such as a matrix, that kind of thing. So Narelle, we'll get back to you if there's anything else that we can do around your query on that. But yeah, definitely check out what we've got for tomorrow and see if that at least is a start for you, as well as the Google Drive, which we'll get out to you fairly soon. All right. Any other questions, please make sure that you send them across to our email, achba@vic.edu.au, which is on the comments thread. Make sure that you send it out, and we'll respond to you as soon as we can. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I know that it's a really quick session and it's something that we can only, give you something a bit broader at the moment. Lots of you have very specific requirements at your school, and we want to be able to help out as many of you as we can. So stay tuned for more information coming out from us. And as I said, keep sharing and helping each other out, and obviously keep in touch with us if there's anything that we can do to help you out. And we will see you soon.